Well, there's a few people missing, so I was spending a couple of minutes going through my list. You know, I didn't send out a reminder, and I was kind of hoping that I wouldn't have to, right? Excuse me just a second. Hey, Renee, good morning. Oh, yes, come in. I'm so sorry. I use the same Zoom number for every program. You want me to send you a link? Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course I will. Okay. You're welcome. Bye. I forgot to send them the link. They have it from the past, but you know how we are. I mean, it's who would know if I didn't say, and I guess I didn't say. I promise we're going to start any second, you guys. Like I said, I am just moving slow. Gosh. There it is.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Hi, hi. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
I'm having a terrible time here. Shoot. Listen,
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sit over here.
4847625, right?
You're on, Thomas.
Yeah, I'm on, but I'm trying to get somebody else on.
Oh no, we're on, Thomas.
I couldn't find my link to recreate it for you to save my life.
It's okay. We found it. Thank you. So sorry.
Yeah. All righty. So let me see if we can just kind of start this thing. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are still missing a few people, but I really don't have the wherewithal at the moment to go hunt people down. So God bless them. I hope they show up. And we are recording, so we'll make sure they get the recording if that's what we need to do. So it's been 2 weeks since we've been on the program of Atomic Habits, and I'm trusting that for some of you it's kind of in the distant past, and for some of you it's very fresh. So I want to just hear from a couple of you anything at all that you might want to share regarding your study of the book before we dig into the homework and before we dig into tonight's session. So on this call, because there's not a whole lot of us, really just say your first name and you can speak out, okay?
Jean.
Yes, darling Jean.
I will jump in the water this morning. So in terms of reading, did you, sorry, jumping on my screen. I just got the book, and I jumped in and was actually pleasantly surprised how short the chapters were.
Yeah.
A lot shorter and quicker. And I have to say, I love it. I really love it. And so you just asked us to share about
That's
that.
it. Yeah, thank you.
I have not read all the chapters. I am challenged when it comes to reading. I don't make the time.
Yeah.
And I am committed to making the time.
Yeah, so what you might do, Jean, right now is just on the notebook that you're using, write down reading the chapters as a new habit to create.
Yes.
So consider that it's not hard to read, and it's really not hard to find the time to read. What's happened is other habits are bigger and louder, and therefore they dominate your space.
Yeah.
It's not like something's wrong. It doesn't mean that you don't have the same desire as somebody else, but when your environment screams for your, excuse me, for your other habits to kick in, then that one gets pushed aside. So
Yeah.
just keep that, make a note. So as we work today, you might start to see ways of creating a habit around reading.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Thanks. Somebody else.
Maria.
Yeah, Maria. I don't know. That was a
Hi.
lot of noise that just happened.
But he's driving or something.
Okay, yeah. So if you're on a phone, you might mute yourself unless you're going to speak.
Thomas, this is Barbara.
Hey, Barb.
Could you mute me there? My earphone went off, and however Zoom came up this morning, I don't have the pad to mute.
Got it. Okay, you're muted.
Thank you.
Oh, maybe you're not. Shoot. Yeah. There we go. Well, I don't know, sweetheart. Yes, you. Well, we can still hear you.
I'm very sorry. The Zoom came up weird. Maybe I should get off and call you back.
Do what works best for you. It's not unbearable at this moment. Okay, who wanted to talk, though?
Joanne,
Maria.
Go ahead, Joanne, and then Maria.
so what I was conscious of is there was an exercise to write down all your habits. And I thought I wrote them down and I was amazed at how many I had. And then like yesterday in the car, I noticed I have a habit. I do this, I do this, I do this, I do the seatbelt, I go with the bird. Then I have a habit when I get out of the car to undo the seatbelt and, do whatever. And
Well,
so I just got conscious, like I've got habits everywhere.
exactly. And what is the benefit of writing down the habits like a list?
Well, what I saw is some were contributing to my commitments and some were like a waste of time. Like I probably don't need to do those anymore.
That might be one thing. So it makes you aware, right?
Yes, very aware.
It makes you aware. And awareness is the first step to add or take away anything. If we're unconscious, and mostly we are, not like bad, but we're designed to be unconscious because there's so much happening at any one time. We're designed for things to take care of themselves. The idea behind this work is for us to use that design to benefit that which we want, how we want to become, the lives we want to build. So making
What I
the
saw-
list,
Go ahead. What I
making
saw, it was a very powerful place to be when they started talking about habit stacking.
Yeah. So making the list might at first seem like, I know my habit's not a big deal. But really, I encourage you that you make a list of just your daily habits, like waking up in the morning. I have a habit. I open my eyes in the morning. The first thing I do is I pick up my phone so the time will blink. And in my mind, I'm hoping that it's 4 o'clock. Because if it's 4 o'clock, I have another hour. And I love that. And almost invariably, it'd be like 4 o'clock or 4:10. And I have this relief, like, oh, 1 more hour. So it's a habit. It's a habit to pick up the phone. Now, is it a good habit? Is it a bad habit? Or is it a neutral habit? From your point of view. Anybody?
It's a neutral habit.
It's neutral, right? I mean, I could probably use it to do something in the future, but it's neutral. It doesn't serve me. It doesn't not serve me, other than it does make me feel really good. I don't know what that is about having that extra 30 minutes or extra hour just feels so good. Okay, very good. Anybody else before we move in?
Maria was
Oh,
next.
Maria, sorry, darling.
Thank you. So I read the chapters through chapter number 4 when I was in Colombia. So I missed the first session. So, and this week, just coming back from Colombia, I realized I had a habit not to start kind of being present in the things that I need to do here, but kind of taking my time, relaxing, and yeah, kind of resting from my other vacation and from my trip.
Yeah.
I realized also that I read the assignment. I created something in my mind, but I didn't put it in place. I didn't do it, right? Just, I had the idea in my mind, so.
So is that a habit? Is it a habit that you think up things in your mind and hope that they'll actually get action around them?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and it's not like something bad. It's something to be conscious of. Like, oh, no wonder new things I want to create don't actually get created. They're a good idea. They feel good. I want to do them. But what's missing is actually saying them out loud, building a structure or a system where they can exist. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Thank you. So, atomic habits without thinking. Yeah, you know what, Barb? I think you are either going to have to dial back in or find a way to mute yourself. I can't get you muted on this end, and it sounds like you're breathing.
Oh,
It's fine that you're breathing.
Star
But
6. They should try star 6.
I can't get to the keypad.
Oh.
It came up it's just on my phone. Anyway, never mind. I will start over.
thank you, darling.
Yeah.
Atomic habits without thinking. So we underestimate how much our brains and bodies do without thinking. Like, you don't tell your hair to grow. You don't tell your heart to pump. You don't tell your lungs to breathe. You don't tell your stomach to digest. There is so much that just happens on its own. Carl Jung says, well, he said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. You know, maybe it's Charlie that we're hearing. Charlie, mute yourself.
I am muted.
You are muted. Barbara, you're not gone. I mean, I don't know, unless that's somebody else there. And I see, when I'm using this computer with the PowerPoint, it won't let me use my mouse, so I can't do anything for anybody.
Thomas, I can't even get off the phone.
Okay.
I'm trying to get off. It won't even let me off the phone. I don't know what. Okay, I'm pulled over. I'm going to try to get off. Sorry, guys.
Oh, don't be sorry. It's okay. Carl Jung, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Somebody take the next slide, please.
Jean,
Yes, Jean.
pointing and calling. Pointing and calling raises the level of awareness from a non-conscious habit to a more conscious level. Using your eyes, hands, mouth, and ears, you are more likely to notice problems before something goes wrong.
Very good. So somebody else read it again.
Maria.
Yes, Maria.
Pointing and calling raises the level of awareness from a non-conscious habit to a more conscious level. Using your eyes, hands, mouth, and ears, you are more likely to notice problems before something goes wrong.
So somebody tell me in your own life where you already use pointing and calling, or an area where you can see it would benefit you to use pointing and calling. By the way, I'm checking in. Renee and Randy, you are here?
They're muted.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so we got-
All
Yeah.
right, thanks. I just couldn't see your face, so I thought, well, maybe they're on the phone, but I can't see that particular panel. All right, thank you. Just checking in, are you? All right, somebody.
So pointing and calling, this is Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
So pointing and calling, so I developed one stacking habit, and it's a gratitude rock. And when I see the rock, I point to it and I go, generate gratitude.
Okay, good, good. Somebody else, a place where you have pointing and calling already, or a place where you may have, or where you could see it would benefit you.
Jean,
Go ahead, Jean.
you know, what I noticed in my life is that if I have my hands full and I'm walking out the door, whether it's leaving a client's or leaving home, I almost always leave something because I have my hands full. I think I have everything.
Yep.
I could really see the benefit of calling out, purse, phone, keys, books, bag, whatever. So.
Yeah, very, very good. So I use pointing and calling as a part of my travel process. So especially if we're going on a trip together, because there's a distinction when I'm going on a trip alone or when we're going together. But we lay the bags out at the front door, and out loud, we both count the bags. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we really do carry that many bags. And then I automatically hit my hip to make sure my wallet is there, and I flip it up to make sure the phone is there. I touch my neck. But this is all automatic, right? And then by the time we get to the airport and start checking things in, 1, 2, 3 are checked in, 1, 2, 3. It has saved me more times than you can imagine. Now, when I'm on my own, I still do the same thing, but I don't really do it out loud. It's kind of out loud for myself. Like I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. When I, let's see, there was some, well, I went forward by accident. There was another one I wanted to share with you, but I can't remember it now. Well, one I want to develop is the only time that I seem to leave things behind is on vacation. I don't mean I forget things. I bring everything home. I have a really good system in making sure that I get everything and bring it home. But when we get ready to leave the condo to go out somewhere, inevitably I have to go back 2 or 3 times. I mean, it is an ongoing joke for us. So we'll get out to the street and I'll say, you know what, we better slow down. We've only been up twice. It takes 3 times. And sure enough, we'll get a little bit further down the thing and say, hey, did you remember to bring the sunscreen? Like, oh no, we got to go back, the 3rd time. So 3 times is the joke, but I almost think because we made it a joke and because we made it about ourselves, I swear to you guys, I think we've made it a habit.
Yeah.
Because it's so real. It really happens every single time. Oh, very good. All right, anybody else? Pointing and calling.
Joanne?
Yeah, Joanne.
So I realized how ingrained something was because when it said pointing and calling, I realized like my mother always taught me it wasn't polite to point. So every time I point, I automatically think, is this polite or impolite?
Yeah, really good. That's good. One of the biggest challenges in changing habits is maintaining awareness of what we're actually doing. We need a point and call system for our personal lives, and we need a habits scorecard, making a list of our daily habits. So if you have not already done this, I'm asking you to make it part of the assignment for the next 2 weeks. And I don't want you to wait 2 weeks from now to do it. I want you today to make a list of your daily habits. Now listen, it doesn't have to be hard, right? You don't have to think real hard. You can just start from the time, like me, I pick up my phone. to check the time. That's the first habit that I know of. And I get relieved and I roll back over and I lay there and I really allow myself to start waking up. I don't actually allow myself to go back to sleep. So that's a habit too. Make a list of your daily habits. A key knowledge about habits is that they all serve you. So we talk about good habits and bad habits, and that probably won't change. But the truth of the matter is there are no good habits and there are no bad habits. There are only effective habits. Habits are effective at solving a perceived problem. I want to change that on here because on here it says it's effective at solving problems. And I think he even wrote it that way. But I would like for us to think it from it's effective at solving what seems to be problems. But they all serve us in some way. So for Joanne, the habit of not pointing serves her in pleasing her mother. You know, there's some satisfaction that's built into every single habit, regardless of how we label them. Now, the question becomes, as you look at your habit list, how will this habit benefit me in the long run? So you want to take your list and you want to categorize each habit as a plus, minus, or equal. The plus meaning it will benefit me. The minus means it does not benefit me. The equal sign is it's neutral. Any question about that? Because I absolutely want you to do this over the next 2 weeks.
Can you go into the neutral one? Because I didn't really find too many neutral. Either benefit me.
Give me 3 or 4 daily habits that you have.
Brush my teeth, comb my hair, wash my face.
Okay, so brushing your teeth.
Good.
Because it serves what?
Serves my health and well-being. And
all right, very good. Combing your hair.
I say it's good. It serves my feel good.
Okay. Washing your face.
Health and well-being. So that's
okay.
A plus.
Give me a couple more.
Pet the dog.
Ooh.
Gently wake up the dog because he likes to sleep in.
Yeah.
Get up, put on slippers. Slippers are a plus because they keep my feet warm when it's cold.
Well, maybe you don't have any neutral ones. I mean, if I say about so I wake up in the morning, I pick up my phone and I look at the time. I call it neutral. But if I dug into it, I could say, oh, well, it's positive because of all the extra things that it allows for. But if I look at what I'm trying to develop, as I'm trying to take myself to the next best possible me I can be, I think it's neutral. There's a lot of ways I can determine what time it is in the morning. I can set an alarm and get out of bed in the morning. I mean, so it really is going to be your relationship to it that determines where it falls in the positive, negative, or neutral. But I would use whatever it is I'm trying to develop as the measuring stick, if you will. And then you ask yourself, does this habit, does this behavior help me become the type of person I want to be? Does this habit cast a vote for or against my desired identity? Now, one of the things that came up for me in a coaching conversation that I had yesterday with one of my clients that I hadn't quite realized before is we talk about this desired identity or the who I want to be or who I am becoming. And do you know, for a lot of us, there's no real picture. It's just some fantasy, some idea, not even an ideal. It's like an idea, just like there's a word I'm looking for, and I use the word all the time, and for whatever reason in this moment it escapes me. And if anybody has it, I would love to have it. When I say desired identity and it's not a real thing for me, what is it?
A fantasy?
Conceptual. It's very conceptual. So we talk about it like it's a good thing, but if I stopped and I said, so Robert, what is your desired identity? It's not easy to answer right away. I don't know that we have a concrete picture of the who I want to be. So this upcoming 2 weeks, I want you to consider, what the hell is my desired identity? It doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be way, way big or anything like that, but it's got to be real for you. You know, when I've considered my desired identity, I have to have an internal argument that says, I don't know, I kind of already am my identity. What is it I want to become now? And then what occurs for me is, wow, so is my desired identity to become lazy and complacent? No. So that attitude serves complacency. It serves laziness. Do you get that? So as I looked again, I say, well, the identity is I want to be known in the world as the best couples coach ever. I want that. That's what I want. It's my desired identity. I don't care if I make a fortune doing it. I don't care if I make nothing doing it. That's how I want to be known. Anybody else, anything you see for yourself as a desired identity that can help the rest of us think ours through?
Jean.
Thanks, Jean.
To me, this kind of comes back to our assignment.
Yep.
Because one of the questions was, who do I want to become? And I'm sure I could flesh this out more, but what came up for me was, I want to become a woman who values her word to herself. And happy with me in all ways, in all categories of my life.
Yeah, very good. Now, can I pick apart that second one a little bit?
Absolutely.
So read it to me again. I want to be a woman
who values her word to herself.
Yeah. Okay. So could we have it be that I want to be a woman who values herself? And then I want to be known as my word. See, because what you're saying, the first way, what you're saying is, I am my word except to myself. That's
right.
What you're saying, and that's a lie. I'm not saying you're not your word, Jean. Don't misunderstand me, okay? I'm not saying that you're not a person who has a high level of integrity. Of course, that's who I'm talking to. I'm talking to a highly integrous woman. Otherwise, I couldn't say this. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
So, if I am my word, then keeping my word with myself is natural. That's
Okay.
not an argument. It's not something I have to fight for. So there is a dealing with how much I value myself, that my word matters. Does this communicate?
It does. It does. I guess I just have had it for such, when we talk about habits,
It's a habit.
I believe that it's actually a thinking or a feeling habit.
It's a thinking habit.
Yeah,
It's
that
how
I
you consider yourself.
I don't trust when I give my word to myself, that I don't keep it.
Exactly. But honey, take out to myself. This is the thing. You see, this is the killer. Because what the individual who says that is not owning is they don't keep their word. See, it makes you feel better to say, well, I keep my word to everybody else. But when I give my word to myself, I just don't keep it. You see, it's a feel-good statement instead of a reality statement. The reality statement says, I don't keep my fucking word.
Yeah.
Get it? That will move you. The other thing just keeps patting you on the back like, gosh, you really are a good person. You keep your word everywhere except to yourself. Get it? It's like, okay, very good. Okay, great. Thank you for that. That's very valuable. I mean, it's valuable for all of us to get that again. Anybody else? Anything you have to put in? Even my telephone people, all you got to do is unmute and say your name.
Maria.
Go ahead. Maria?
Okay. Well, so this is, I want to be, let's see, this is, I don't know how it will work. I want to be free or authentic. I want to be free of the fear of saying no when I want to say no.
No, that will never serve you. That will never serve you. You will never be free from the fear. Or sometimes you'll be free from the fear and sometimes you won't. And that will always be the determining factor for your action. You follow? So what could you say that could actually give you power? Say it again. And let's pick it apart a little bit.
So do I start it with I want to be, or?
That's okay. I want to be is fine in this context. That's fine. You can say that. I want to be free.
I want to be free. I want to be free when I'm around people, and I want to be free of saying what I want to say and what I need to say.
I want to, honey, you're making it real hard. I want to be free to say no.
I want to be free to say no.
Yeah, right. That's all. I just want to be free to say no. And if I'm free to say no, then I'm free to say yes. See, you have no freedom of choice. You are that you must do or not do whatever your environment says you must do or not do. That's where you want to get free. True?
Yes.
You sure? You got it?
Yes.
Okay.
I want, well, so the second part, so you said I want something about the environment, and could you say that again?
What I said is, as it is now, your environment, that is the people you're around, the group you're in, your family, whatever the culture is that you are involved in, that is what's telling you yes or no, regardless of what you think you want. That's what you want freedom from. You want the freedom to be a yes or no, regardless of your environment. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Very good. Okay. Yeah, make a couple notes for yourself. Anybody else?
This is Barbara.
Yeah, Barb. Welcome back.
I want to be able to think before I react.
Okay, let's think about that one. I want to be able to think before I react. Okay, so that assumes that you react without thinking. That's the assumption.
Yes.
All right, so if you were someone who did not react before thinking, what kind of person would that be? And anybody can jump in on this if you have a word that she could use or a thought.
Someone who takes a breath.
Well, you would take a breath, that's for sure. But what kind of person would you be? Like, if you could point to it, there's that person. What would that be?
Deborah.
Yeah, Deborah.
I think present. Someone who's present.
Very good. So present might be it. Anything you see, Barb?
I have that. I'd be a good person if I could think before I open my mouth.
Okay, well, maybe you would be. But again, that implies that you're a bad person, and we know that's not true.
Yes.
Thoughtful.
Charlie,
Yeah, Charlie?
I choose to be calm when listening to others.
Yeah, could be that. Could be that. So I would assert that there's a habit that when you react before you think, it serves you in some way, and how it serves you has not yet been identified. So let's take a look and see if we can uncover, how does it serve you to react before you think?
Well, it's always, I don't feel safe. So if I get you before you get me, I'm safe.
There you
And
go.
then I can,
So
that's what,
so a person who's safe thinks before they react.
yes.
All right, so you want to be safe. Not like safe, you're in a safe little room and protected, but you want to feel confident. You want to feel safe and secure. Would that be in the ballpark of where we're going here?
I think that's it. I do.
All right, so then I want you to take that and over the next 2 weeks, massage it out until it's very real for you. And you start to notice the habit of reacting could be, now listen, I'm using my own experience to lay this on you. So I want to distinguish that from coaching. So what I'm about to say is not coaching. I'm laying my own experience on you. And that is, sometimes in my life, I know that I will react before I think because I'm afraid my thoughts won't let me express myself. And sometimes expressing myself seems so much more important. Very
Yes,
good.
it does.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay. So a little bit of the work we just did was getting some of our habits spoken out loud. And we're getting them in existence so we can start to hear them in a new way because we're altering our relationship to the habit. Hearing your habit spoken out loud adds weight to the new action, not just action. And action is what it's all about, you guys. We could have more thinking. We could have more hoping. We could have more wanting. But nothing shows up in reality without action. So the process that we're going through always starts with awareness. So my interacting with you is not to make you right or wrong about what you see. It's creating the process of us becoming more aware. When you're stuck with your own thing, as long as you're stuck with your own thing, then you're also stuck with the relationship to the thing. Do you understand that? We call that relationship to the thing the context. So whenever we talk about context or shifting the context or the context is decisive, context means my relationship to. So when I alter my relationship to a habit, or I alter my relationship to a thought, or I alter my relationship to a feeling, the moment I alter that relationship, that is a shift in context. And as soon as context shifts, I have more possibility. It doesn't even mean better possibility. It's just more possibility. Follow? We're not talking about a good thing or a bad thing. We're just talking like, this is an old thing, I want a new thing. How do I get a new thing? I shift my relationship to the old thing. Practice. With enough practice, your brain will pick up on the cues that predict certain outcomes without consciously thinking about it. Behavior change always starts with awareness. Pointing and calling raises awareness. So somebody read this one, starting a new habit.
Gene,
Thanks, Gene.
starting a new habit. Habit stacking. When situation X happens, I will perform Y. Implementation intentions. Speak it when it will happen. Don't leave it to chance. I will do X behavior at time in location.
Yeah, you get that?
Yeah.
So you are going to walk. So when you and I have worked together and you'd say to me, yeah, I'm going to start walking every day. Okay, so I would ask you, when will you walk?
Mm-hmm.
Where will you walk? That made it more real longer. So that's what this is talking about. We can't leave things to chance. We can't leave things to hope if we really want them. If I am committed that my marriage be the most extraordinary marriage on the planet, I can't pray for that.
Thomas?
I got to be in action. I've got to put things together that connect those dots. Yeah, Joanne.
Did you say I can't pray for that?
Yeah, I can't pray for that. My point is you can pray for anything you want, but my point is prayer, hope, and chance are not going to give you the outcome. They'll give you something, but they will not give you the outcome. The only way you'll have the outcome is to create the necessary actions and to determine when and where you'll put in those actions. It's the only way. Can you see that? I know I hit a button when I said the prayer thing. I regret now saying it, but I do believe it.
You didn't hit a button, at least not for me, but you kind of froze a little bit after that, and that's what
I paused.
Okay, I wasn't used to you pausing.
I paused to let the button pop back up in case I pushed it. All right. Give your new habits a time and space to live in the world. So my favorite habit stacking so far, and the only reason it's my favorite so far is I must be honest and tell you, I think it's the only one I've created. So I'm adding to our list to create a habit stacking.
I couldn't hear what you said because of the dog barking.
I said habit stacking is a great way to give new habits a time and space to live in the world. And I have one. And then I said, I must be honest that I only have one because I haven't developed any others. And I've now added it to our assignment to develop at least one habit stack between now and the next call. The habit stack I have is when I brush my teeth. It's connected now to, I do my neck stretching exercises that I'm supposed to do every day, that every day I would forget to do. And I would find myself in the weirdest positions, like, oh, I forgot to do my neck exercise. Well, then I would be with the client. I don't want to do it then. Or I would be driving and I can't do it then, So anyway, I connected it to brushing my teeth. And it's really cool. I brush my teeth, I put the toothbrush down, and immediately, boom, I go right into my neck stretches. The goal is to make the time and location so obvious that with enough repetition, you get an urge to do the right thing at the right time, even if you can't say why. Just automatic. Brush my teeth, boom, automatic, boom, there I go. Awesome. After current habit one, this is the habit stacking. After current habit, which is in my case, brush my teeth, I will new habit, that is do my neck exercises. Somebody else, any examples of your own habit stacking? I know Charlie gave us one earlier. He touches his gratitude stone. And then I forgot what you said you say, Charlie, but you say something. Anybody have any habit stacking that they've already developed?
Joanne?
Yeah, Joanne, give us one.
So I like my dog in the bathroom with me when I take a shower because I don't always trust him in my bedroom by himself. So what I've created is I brush my teeth, I wash my face, I get in the shower. When I come out, I take the towel, I dry my face, and then he gets a little sweet potato treat. Well, he's in the bathroom as soon as I start brushing my teeth because he knows that at some point he's going to get a treat.
Yeah.
Now, I realize it's a habit stack more for the dog, but it's my way of getting him to do what I want him to do. I don't know if I'll ever get it so that he'll do it without a treat, but I'm okay if he has a piece of sweet potato.
That is a long habit stacking story, but I got it. Somebody else, the habit stack that you recreated.
Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie.
So I'll expand on this a little bit. So we're looking at habits, and one habit I have is to have a cup of coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, well, I'll stack generating gratitude every time I have my coffee. And I watched the movie The Secret, and the guy talks about the gratitude rock, and I go, okay, when I see my stone, I'll generate gratitude.
Oh.
But I thought, wow, I could stack another one on top of that. So I got another rock. And when I generate gratitude, I generate joy.
Yeah, very good.
And I love it. I mean, I get so excited. Oh, there's the rock. I'm going to generate gratitude.
That's good. And you know what? I just remembered I do have another habit stack. And that is I drink my ginger tea every morning. And I now take this, I think it's called Flores. It's some kind of cleanse. And no, it's a detox. And I pour it in my tea every day. And I don't know, I used to forget to use it. And I really like it. And I would forget to use it. Now I tie it to my tea in the morning. Boom. So that's a habit stack. Somebody else, a habit stack that you have.
Oh, Charlie's showing us his rocks.
I wish I could see it, but I can't.
Can't see it either.
Yeah, we're limited on how many we got on the screen. Okay. Make a new habit stacking list. Use the scorecard. Now, this is your original list where you listed your daily habits. So part of the homework is going to be make a list of your daily habits if you haven't yet. Number 2, score them, plus, minus, or an equal sign. Okay? And then number 3, we're going to do a habit stacking list. So habit stacking works best when the cue is highly specific and immediately actionable. Don't be vague. What does that mean? When I brush my teeth, that is highly specific. I will do my neck exercise, an action, highly specific. You can hear it's not vague. The more a new habit is bound to a specific cue, brushing my teeth is the cue, the better the odds that you'll notice when the time comes to act. Anything about that? Anybody want to read it again? Get this in a little deeper.
So before we read it, I noticed for myself, there are some places that my habits are so stacked that I resist even starting the first one because I know I've got 12 behind it.
Well, nothing I can tell you about that.
And yet they're all good habits. I know, I just have to, resistance causes persistence.
Well, I mean, you could let go of the resistance, that's true, but you could also look again and see, well, what am I creating about myself that doesn't work for me anymore? Because, I mean, what we're doing here should really and truly be fun. If you're turning it into some kind of burden or difficulty, I don't know that your relationship to it is sufficient. I think that would be the thing to shift.
Okay. I can take
Anybody else? All right.
Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie.
I know I'm backing up a little bit, but one thing I really noticed, he says if you notice your habits, you become more aware.
Yeah.
And the example he cited is, can you tell me what shoe you put on first in the morning? I'm going, what?
Isn't that good? Yeah.
And when I started paying attention, I noticed my awareness expanded.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Thank you.
I have a habit of walking into my closet and throwing my clothes on the floor. So I take my clothes off. I will literally walk into my closet and I will throw my clothes on the floor. These are things I really don't want to tell you. I will drape them over stuff, but I won't hang them up. You guys, it's just the craziest thing. That's a new habit I want to create, that I hang up my daggone clothes when I take them off, or I put them in the dry cleaners, one of the two. But throwing them on the floor, hanging them over this and that, it's such a bad habit that I've had my whole life. When I lived with Pepe, I remember one day, now you all have to know that Pepe is extremely straight, extremely clean. Everything has a place, and rarely is it out of place. So he would go behind me and hang up my clothes. Well, that was fine for me. So one day he made me put my clothes back on. He said, all right, now, wait a minute. Now go, take your clothes off and throw them on the floor. And I did. He made me put them back on again. I put them back on again. He said, okay, now go, take your clothes off and hang them up. And I hung them up, and it took the same amount of time. He said, so you're not saving any time, but you know it made no difference. I'm still doing it. And that was 16 years ago.
It's rebellion.
I don't think so. I don't think I'm rebelling. I don't think so. Okay. Make it obvious. New habits you want to create, you must make the cue obvious. Cues must exist in reality. They cannot be a thought or a feeling or a figment of your imagination. They must exist in time and location. Sometimes with my couples, I will have them write a sign and put it over the door where they're going to enter to see their spouse, to remind them, I love my spouse, to shift who they're being as they walk in the door. The cue exists in time and location. You get that? It exists in reality. It's not the feeling they get, like, oh, I better show my spouse I love him or her. No, that's not going to work. Over time, that will dissolve. You gotta have something in existence. And then when the brain gets used to it, shift the existence until the habit becomes natural, like breathing, heart beating, hair growing. Create an implementation. I must have spelled something wrong there. As a strategy. Oh, intention. Implementation, intention. Is that what that is?
I think it's supposed to be.
Intention. Create an implementation intention as a strategy. Oh my gosh, what the hell was I thinking? A new habit with a specific time and location. Huh?
To create a new habit?
To pay the way, or?
Maybe. All right, well, here we go. Implementation intention formula. I will X at this time in this location. I will go to the gym at 5 a.m. in Millbrae. And for me, Millbrae is connected to several other habits, which, by the way, I go to the 24-hour fitness in Millbrae. The Walgreens is right there. Safeway is right there. Office Depot's right there. Bank of America is right there. And Trader Joe's. So as soon as I'm finished in the gym, I bounce to anything that's already open and take care of stuff before I come back home. Well, I switched gyms. I now go to Planet Fitness, and it has messed up my life. I go to Planet Fitness. I can't get anything else done because none of my stuff is there. So it's time for me to create new habits, because I'm telling you, I keep going back to Millbrae just because it fits my habit stacking that I didn't even know I made. Your environment matters. Somebody read this one. How about you, Maria?
Your environment matters. Motivation is overrated. Environment often matters more. Your environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. In church and libraries, we tend to whisper. reticular activation system. No need to be the victim or our environment when we can be the architect of it.
Architect of it, yes. So your environment, my environment, our environment has built-in cues for behavior. So I was telling you, I come home, I take off my clothes, I throw them on the floor. But do you know that when I'm in a hotel, I take off my clothes, I hang them up? Do you know when I get into a hotel, when I get into a city, when I plan my trip, I plan enough time to go to my hotel first, to nest. That is, I unpack, I put everything away, I have groceries, I put those in the refrigerator in the kitchen, I hang all my clothes, then I go off and do my meetings and my trainings. Very strange to me. That's, well, I don't know about it being strange, but anyway, the environment that I start in, I will tend to keep it that way. When I come home, if the kitchen is really clean, I will keep it that way. But if I come home and somebody else has left dishes out, I'm more apt to leave stuff out. I'm not blaming anybody else for that. I'm just kind of pointing to environment. When I come into my office, if it's straight, I work easier because I'm a very messy worker. I work in piles. And I can be surrounded by 4 or 5 piles, but I've developed now a system that there's 30 minutes before I leave the office where all the piles, at least either they get piled up and put aside or they all get put away so that I can come into a straight place. So the point here is being conscious of our environment and what it pulls for. For me, the messy office pulls for, oh, I don't want to work. It pulls for that. It doesn't pull for, I want to be the biggest stand for people ever. It doesn't pull for, I want every couple in my space to be madly in love for the rest of their lives. It doesn't pull for that. So anything that doesn't pull for that has to be removed from my environment because the environment matters more than your motivation. Having things set up, like for instance, sometimes people will say to me, so how long have you been, managing yourself around getting to the gym? And I say, wow, you know what? 40 years. 40 years, I have been very consistent. Well, what are some of the things that you've done to keep it consistent? Well, until I read Atomic Habits, I didn't realize one thing is my gym bag is always ready. Always ready. And it's always by the door. So when I get up to go, I don't have to think about putting the gym bag together. I don't have to think about, do I have clean socks and a clean towel? Those are thoughts that aren't necessary. The only thing necessary for me is to get out of bed, pick up the bag and go. If you want to make a habit a big part of your life, make the cue a big part of your environment. The most persistent behaviors usually have multiple cues. Sprinkle triggers throughout your surroundings. Our behavior is not defined by the objects in the environment, but by our relationship to them. Start thinking of your environment as filled with relationships rather than objects that communicate. Small changes in relationship, that is context, can lead to large behavior changes over time. I noticed, like right now, my gym clothes have gotten old because I have like 3 or 4 sets, but I have one set that's my favorite, right? The other 3 I don't like that much. I wear them when I have to, but as soon as my favorites are clean, boy, they go right back in the bag. But they're old, they don't look good. My relationship to them isn't be hot and sexy. My relationship to them is thrift market. So I can see that it's time for finding the new set of something that I love. Anybody about anything to do with your environment
Real
And-
quick, I have a question, Thomas. There was a highlight thing about the reticular system.
Oh, the reticular activating system. So
Yeah.
your environment is filled with many cues. You know, I will say millions and think that it's probably beyond that, you know. And your brain can only process 10,000 cues a second. So the reticular activating system is a filter at the base of the brain, and its purpose is to filter out anything that's not important to you. So a good example of this, I was with a lady this past week. I was training her and working with her, and I was in her car. And it's a new SUV. And she goes, you know, I bought this SUV, and I bought it because it was so unique, and I really, really liked it, and I felt like it expressed a part of my personality. And she said, do you know, the moment I bought it, I started seeing these everywhere. That is the reticular activating system in action. See, before she bought the vehicle, she had no relationship to it. Therefore, the filter filtered all that out so that the things that are important to us is what's loud. Are you following me? So in order to shift the reticular activating system so that it works for you, you must make your cues big and obvious. Because the more obvious they are, the more it wakes that up. This is important to the organism. This is important to our survival. Then you start to notice more opportunities for the new habit. Does that communicate?
Yes.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Well, when you bring up the reticular system, which we've talked about many times in the past,
Yep.
making the cue obvious makes it more natural response. Like, you know,
Yeah, like she's not looking for that car on purpose.
yeah.
It's showing up. That's how we want life to work for us. We don't want it to be that I have to make myself say no, right, Maria? We want it to be natural that if I'm a no, I can say no. If I'm a yes, I can say yes. That neither has any charge on it. Every habit is initiated by a cue. We're more likely to notice cues that stand out. Make the cues of good habits obvious. It's easier to build new habits in a new environment because you're not fighting against the old ones. So if you're dealing with, let's say, getting to the gym, or maybe you want a new body, then there's the cues that you would use to eat better. There's the cues that you would use to get to the gym or to walk or whatever your thing is. But there's also cues for the body you want. Like, for instance, you might put pictures that are the next level of who you could be if you keep up the new habits. That would be a cue. Now, listen, that's not good for everybody. For some people, it shuts them down. For other people, it pulls them forward. You got to look and see what works for you. But I'm just trying to give you ideas of how to make obvious cues. Because the first law of behavior change is make it obvious. The second, make it attractive. Make it easy, make it satisfying. So remember I was talking about my gym bag? What I just realized is, yes, I do need some new gym clothes. That's true. But what just occurred to me is I need a new gym bag. My gym bag's not attractive. It's not exciting to me. I want something that I like to carry around. So I'm going to do that today. Get a new gym bag. Make it easy and makes it more satisfying. Now, to break a habit, you invert the first law. Make it invisible. Make it unattractive. Make it difficult. Make it unsatisfying. So back in the 70s and 80s, I smoked cigarettes. And when I decided to complete my relationship to cigarettes, I did not know that I did this, but I did this. So the first thing that I did was I quit drinking. and I quit going to the bar, because to go to a bar and to be around drinking cigarettes in those days were natural. They were a natural connection. Make it unattractive. Well, the only way that I could make it unattractive was I started practicing breathing. So I would never say anymore that I was going to quit smoking. I would say things like, I'm starting to breathe more. They say, hey, Kuster, you got a cigarette? Nope, I'm starting to breathe more. Got no cigarettes. Then make it difficult. I put them out of reach. If I wanted a cigarette, I could have it. But the only way I could have it was to go to the store, buy a pack, take the cigarette out, and give the rest away. Things like that. And then make it unsatisfying. Well, I wish I had an answer to that one, but at that time in my life, it was satisfying, and I don't know what I did to make it unsatisfying. But one day I woke up and I just wasn't smoking. And it was the weirdest experience of my life, because it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I had cigarettes available if I wanted them, and I realized I hadn't smoked. And I thought, oh my gosh, maybe I'm done. And I was, and I haven't smoked since. So breaking a habit, creating a habit, use the same 4 principles. Was that it? And that was it. Okay. So here, I'll give you an opportunity to share anything in a moment. But first, let's go through what our assignment is. Okay. You ready for this?
Yep.
Number 1, go back and read 1 through 6. Add number 7. So we're going to read the first 7 chapters. I want you to go back and you're going to read it again, okay? Number 2, make a list of your daily habits. And then categorize them. Remember, plus, minus, or equal sign. And then on that same list, see what you can develop in the way of habit stacking. All right, so there's 4 things there. You got it? Number 1, read 1 through 7. Number 2, make sure you have a list of your daily habits. Number 3, categorize them, plus, minus, equal. Number 4, go back through the list and see what kind of habit stacking you can develop. And now I'm going to open the floor. Anything that you want to share, talk about before we complete. I apologize. We ran over this morning. I hope you got value and that it was worth the extra time.
Jean.
Yeah, Jean.
I get great value. And the one thing in our previous assignment that I was excited to share is the one new system to put in place. And for me, I am putting in place a health and exercise transform my body system. And the way I'm doing that, I need to get more specific, but I have 2 people I'm going to work with, and my holistic doctor, Robin, and this other woman, Marion, a client of mine, and we're going to do one. I'm going to do more diet, and one I'm going to do more body.
Okay, very good.
Excited.
Now, at this moment, you're clear that's not a system. It's an idea.
Right, I need to put it in place.
That's right. You need to create a system that supports that idea. I just want to distinguish. That's all.
Yeah.
Perfect. Got it. Somebody else, anything to complete?
I want to hear Maria say no before we go.
Maria, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, one of the things that made me realize out of this conversation and reading the book is about the relationship that I have with my environment. And I got to get present to the house is where I live, and Jeff passing away. Now I noticed that I have only one little room where I feel comfortable and where I do a lot of different things. And what about the other rooms? The living room, other places, because it has, my relationship was like Jeff and I. So I was thinking yesterday, wow, I need to move out. I need to sell the house. I need to clean it up, organize it, clean it up, and move out. But out of this conversation also, I said, well, I don't have to do it. I cannot do it right away anyways, but I can start creating creating a new environment, a new relationship, maybe changing some things, buying some new things that are things that I like, kind of make it a little bit different and new, like my house now, not my Jeff and I.
You could take one room at a time and redesign that room, and maybe you have one thing in there that's you and Jeff, but the rest of it is a new contextual relationship that you have life in that room versus dread or fear. Yeah, it's really good. Really, really good, Maria. I got that. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
Joanne?
Yeah, Joanne.
I really think it's interesting to look at the context, and it's my relationship to the context. I hadn't thought about my relationship to this or my relationship to that. It was more like it is, and looking at it from my relationship to it is giving me new openings.
Yeah. So context and relationship to are equal.
Yes.
So, you know, we've always talked about shifting the context, but rarely have we gotten to the nuts and bolts of it to say what we're asking you to do is shift your relationship to something. That is how the context shifts. Very good. Thanks, Joanne. Anybody else?
Deborah.
Yeah, Deborah.
Yeah, so first I just want to say that I wanted to share a couple times earlier, but couldn't get my dang phone, you know.
Yeah, sorry.
While I was driving. Anyway, no problem. Just thank you so much. This call has been incredible, including the distinction you just made and reiterated about context. But like the past 2 weeks, one of the new habits I created was getting to bed on time. And it was phenomenal because I struggled with that for a long time. And I was able to do it, not always and not always perfectly, but enough that it is become a habit. Like when I have to start, 3 hours before I want to be in bed, I have to habit stack so that it works.
Wow, Deborah, that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. So, and I laugh at myself to, have to start that early, but I just have so many things, to lay out the next day. And anyway, but it's fun.
Fabulous. Thank you. All right. Well, then with that, I'm going to say a good morning to everybody. I appreciate you and thank you very, very much. Okay? Good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everyone.